Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. You're feeling loved, blessed, and looking forward to a beautiful weekend. Happy Friday. Today, I want to share a work story and and share it with asking folks that I deal with in the YouTube world what they would have done. Often, the conversations that we have are about success and moving away from the dysfunction and the poverty that a lot of folks inherited, that a lot of folks experience in disadvantaged, marginalized, black, brown, Southeast Asian, Polynesian communities. There's a value system there in the streets, and sometimes that value system holds you back from advancing. And I had a situation happen to me at work where I did think of street culture and how I would have responded if those were my values. Um, and so here goes. So I work in a tall building. It was a new building when we moved in. It's a beautiful building. They have these chandeliers that are glass that cost $250,000. They're really proud of them. It's part of the art. There's art on the floors, different floors of the building. There's a gymnasium. There's a cafeteria. It's a really, really nice place to work. Um, Unfortunately, when it rains, some of the streets around the building flood such that you almost have to walk through a puddle to get in the building. And that's if they haven't cleared the streets. And so on this particular day, there was that puddle at the street where a lot of folks had to step in it to get to work. So they got their feet wet. On this particular day, I think I came in at 9 or thereabouts. Part of the good thing there is the flexibility with schedules as well. So on this day, I come into the office. It's around 9, and I'd been traveling a lot. I'd been going up and down the state to disadvantaged communities and meeting with folks there and seeing how we could help them or work with them, and they could help us because it was mutual. And so this day I come in and and I sit down to work and something doesn't feel right. Um, like something's off in my cube, and because I'd been traveling so much, I wasn't in the office a lot. Sometimes, like I didn't know if I was coming or going. I mean, I was really busy, and so I start working, and just something really seems off about my cube. I look across the aisle, and there's a gentleman that sits across from me. He's from the Middle East. He wasn't in his office. He must have been in a meeting. And one of the other cool things about you know there is that it was like a virtual United Nations of scientists. Almost everybody was a scientist, but there were as many Chinese as there were Middle Easterners, as there were Arab folks, as there were Russians, as there were Europeans, South Americans. Like everybody was there working together, and it's crazy because most of them spoke Spanish. It's a pretty amazing group of people. The other thing I wanted to share is, when I swam from Alcatraz, I came back and brought it up at work, and there must have been like 3 or 4 ladies and 2 dudes that's like, oh yeah, that's an awesome swim, I done it. And I was like, wow, this is an amazing group of people. So anyways, back to my story. I'm working, and all of a sudden I start seeing like these movements out of the corner of my eye, and and I see what it is, and I can't, like, my mind can't reconcile it. And I start thinking, did I do that? um was that me? And then it hit me, this motherfucker had to walk through a puddle, came into the office, saw I had a really nice fan, and hung his fucking socks on it. So when I finally, and they were wet when he hung them because there was water on my desk, and 2 fucking socks like flapping right next to my face. They were black socks, and I'm like, tripping like, did I do this? Was I coming? I mean, like, have I been that busy? My mind just couldn't accept it. And sure enough, he comes back from his meeting and he sees me and his eyes are like saucers. They're like, whoa. And you could tell he's hella scared. And he runs over. He goes, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I thought you were traveling. I thought you were traveling. And a part of me is like, is this what the fuck you guys do to my cubicle when I'm not here? And they're not even messing with me. They're like just using my stuff to dry off his socks. And then he says, oh, you're not going to tell? And I'm like, nah, I'm going to tell everybody. I'm not going to go tell HR you came in my cube. And this, I mean, that's minor shit. I don't think he was a thief. I thought he was a really decent, noble person. But then I thought of the streets. And I thought, man, in street culture, this motherfucker straight thugged on me, man. He like punked me from my fan and shit. And, but I told him, I was like, man, I'm going to tell everybody. Because this is a pretty good story. Like, this is pretty outrageous that, you know, this is government work. You know, you come into the office, you start working, and there's a fucking pair of socks flapping off your fan. Because the guy next to you got his feet wet and thought he would take his socks off and tie them to your fan to dry off. And, you know, again, thinking of the street culture, I'm like, man, this is like, most street dudes I knew might have like wanted to smash on him. You know, they would have been like, nah, dude, you disrespecting me. You came in my space. You did this. And I could imagine really serious people, you know, beating them up over that. But, you know, that's not the streets. It's the office. And it's a culture of people from all over the world. That's the culture there, is that it's global. Everybody working on the same global issues. And again, it's a wonderful place to work. So am I going to have the values of the street in this beautiful place? Or am I going to accept that I'm in this good place and adapt to the culture there? And the culture is, you're not going to fight with someone. You're going to go talk it out. Worst case scenario, people complain to HR and you get a talking to or what have you. But I like this guy. I think I didn't like what he did. You know, I didn't want his socks on my desk. He apologized profusely. But I got a good story out of it. I mean, that's what I got out of it. And I could have got a firing, a losing of a good career, if I had those values that, you know, are instilled in folks in juvenile halls and YAs and jails and in incarceration in general. So that's just the video for today. If you want to go new places, you will have to adapt to what those places are and the values they embrace. And so, you know, that's not to say that everything is perfect and things couldn't be better, but they're pretty good. And part of that is being receptive to the values that come with a different lifestyle. With that said, I hope you have a good weekend. I hope you enjoyed the story. I hope you thought it was funny, because it angered me at first, but then I got a lot of laughter out of it. And you know, a lot of people got a lot of laughter out of it. So it was at my expense in a way, but now it's at his expense. And nobody got hurt, and the world continues to spin. Much love, y'all. That's Javier's quote, but I want to use it because it's a good quote. Anyways, take care, and God bless.